This is Natural Selection, a board game where only the fastest and smartest will survive.
The theme and goal of the game are simple. Each player is a sperm on a mad dash to be the first to reach the egg in the womb and fertilize it.
The path to the egg is where things get a bit tricky. This isn't your typical board game with a set path with varying events along the way based on where you land. In this game, people create their own paths, or, more commonly, people create their opponent's paths. Natural Selection is a maze-based game where your players are given a wall tile to use in obstructing an opponent or opening up one's own path to the womb.
This game was inspired by the simple thought of parents never telling their children where babies come from. From that, we started thinking about a game that would be fun and help parents teach their children about this. Well, that was only the original inspiration. From there, ideas were thrown around, and we decided to focus the game on the sperm and the egg and fertilization, as opposed to sex or pregnancy. Eventually, we came to the concept for what we have now. A player versus player, maze building game, following the journey of a sperm searching for the egg.
One great aspect about our game is that it can be remodeled very easily should we find that our theme isn't particularly popular. The game should simply be remade as a treasure hunt, a cave escape, or maybe even a jungle adventure game.
The game has an interesting gameplay dynamic in the strategic decision making in creating your own path, modifying an opponent's, or a hybrid of the two. This also means it lends itself to multiple different playstyles, so a greater variety of people will enjoy the game. Finally, as you're playing against the opponent instead of the board, with the addition of some randomness in which tiles are drawn and how far a player moves, no two games will be quite the same.
The pre-alpha form of this game was largely different from its current iteration. The idea for it to be a player versus player maze building game has been there from the start. The original product, however, didn't manage to achieve the maze feel. It was more of a random assortment of walls. People would simply place walls in front of the opponent's shortest path. In the end, if the player looked back at what he just went through, he wouldn't be able to see it as a maze, and it certainly didn't feel like a maze while the player was playing either.
There were a few other major changes we made to the game since then to help reach our goal of a fun maze builder. For one, we added a die roll to determine the movement in exchange for a static value we were using. Not quite sure why we didn't just do that at the beginning. We also added the preset walls and zones, with the womb coming first and the entry zone coming later. These were to help contribute to the maze feel, placing the player into a maze from the start, additionally allowing players to start building their mazes ahead of the other player, rather than on top of them, and also limiting the chance of a player getting ahead of the maze and into the open.
Now, as I'm sure you can see, this prototype board is focused on gameplay and isn't optimized for marketing purposes or aesthetic value. There are minor issues caused by us not being artists and would easily be fixed transitioning into the final version of the board.
And that's our game. I hope you liked it.